Okay, let's continue. So we did the quadrantals 0, 90, 180, 270, 360, and then we did 30, 45, 60. So the question is, what about all the other angles in the other quadrants? So let's go to I'm going to do the example here for the second quadrant, and then we'll put these together in the third quadrant. So let's see. The next, so let's see. So we have, sorry. So what we're going to do is, the way we're going to get up the three angles in the second quadrant is do reflection. So I'm going to do an angle here, the same triangle here, which it's 30 degrees here. I'm going to do another triangle here. This is 45, and I'm going to make the reflection here. This is 60 degrees. Now, let's think about what I've done here. We're interested in this point up here. And the question is, what exactly is this rotation? What is this rotation? Well, let's think about this. If this is 30, this rotation is 150. If this is 45, this rotation is 135. And if this is 60, this rotation was 120. And so the idea is that 30, 45, and 60 are known as reference angles. Reference angles. And the idea is that all the angles in the second, third, and fourth quadrants refer back to the 30, 45, and 60 angle. Now, the way I teach it is you can find any reference angle. So a reference angle is a first quadrant angle. Okay? And the way I teach it is pick any angle from 90 to 360, or pi over 2 to 2 pi. So we're not including 90, we're not including 360. And you ask yourself, what is the acute angle? Which answers the question, how far away is the angle, the rotation from the x-axis? How far away is the rotation from the x-axis? That's your question. So when you see 150, you say, oh, it's 30 away from, it is 30 away from the x-axis. Therefore, the reference angle for 150 is 30. That means, let's look at the sine of 30. So the sine of 150 is equal to the sine of 30. But we're not done yet. What do we know about the sine in the second? The sine in the second is positive, so it's positive 30. Let's see what the cosine of 150 is. The cosine of 150, so the reference angle of 150 is 30, but because cosine is now negative in the second, it's negative. Tangent of 150, the reference angle is 30, but because tangent is negative in the second, this is negative. Let's take a look at 135. 135, what's the reference angle of 135? We'd say it's 45. Okay, so the sine of 135 is equal to the sine of 45, and sine is positive in the second, it's positive. The cosine of 135 is the cosine of 45, but because cosine is negative in the second one, once again, it's negative. Because cosine is negative, it's negative. And the tangent of 135 is equal to the tangent of 45, but because tangent is negative in the second, it's negative. Let's do the last one. What is the reference angle of 120? Well, 120 is 60 away from the x-axis. Therefore, the reference angle of 120 is 60 degrees. So the sine of 120 is equal to the sine of 60. The cosine of 120 is equal to the negative cosine of 60. And the tangent of 120 is equal to the negative tangent of 60. Let's move on. And you memorize these because you know these. So what's the sine of 150? It's the sine of 130, 1/2. What's the cosine of 150? Negative radical 3 over 2. What's the tangent of 150? Negative 1 over radical 3. What's the sine of 135? Radical 2 over 2. What's the cosine of 135? Negative radical 2 over 2. What's the tangent of 135? Negative 1. And so on and so forth. Let's continue. Let's do this together. Sorry. Well, we don't even, what are the three angles now let's look at the third quadrant. So we know that there's three reference angles. So the question is, what rotation has a reference angle of 30? So you go, okay, well, that's 180 plus 30, that's 210. So the sine of 210 is equal to, well, the reference angle of 210 is 30. So we're looking for the sine of 30. The cosine of 210 is the cosine of 30. And the tangent of 210 refers to the tangent of 30. But let's think about this. Cosine is negative in the third. Sine is negative in the third. Tangent is positive in the third. Let's take a look at what angle has a rotation of 45 degrees. 225. 225 has a reference angle of 45. Therefore, the sine of 225 is equal to negative sine of 45. And the cosine of 225 is equal to the negative cosine of 45. And the tangent of 225 is equal to positive tangent of 45. The last one. What's the last reference angle? What rotation has a reference angle of 60 degrees? You say 240. Finally, the sine of 240 is equal to negative sine of 60. The cosine of 240 is equal to negative cosine of 60. And the tangent of 240 is equal to the positive tangent of 60. Once again, because you took that quiz I made you take, you now know the sine of 30 is 1/2, so it's negative 1/2. Negative radical 3 over 2. 1 over radical 3. The sine of 225 refers to 45. Negative radical 2 over 2. Negative radical 2 over 2, positive 1. And what's sine of 240? 240 refers to 60. Once again, if you're at 240, you go up, it's 60 away. Negative radical 3 over 2, negative 1/2, positive radical 3. Now, I'm going to let you pause the video and try the angles in the fourth quadrant. Pause the video, or watch me erase the board. Let's see. Okay, let's try the fourth quadrant. The fourth quadrant. Let's see, I have a unit circle. I want a reference angle of, what should we start with first? Let's start with 60. So what is this rotation? This is 300. 300. So the sine of 300 is equal to negative sine of 60 because it goes down. This is a directed distance, it's negative. The cosine of 300, well, it's going to the right, so it's positive. And then the tangent of 300 is equal to negative tan of 60. Let's do another diagram. Unit circle. Let's see, what is 45 away from me? What's 45? 315. And then you're going to do 315, and then you're going to do a reference angle of 30, and that's a rotation of 330 degrees. So what you're going to do is you're going to complete the chart, and you will now know the reference, you'll know the sine, cosine, and tangent of all the quadrantals and all the special angles. So 0, 30, 45, 60, 90, 120, 135, 150, 180, 210, 225, 240, 270, 315, 300, 315, 330, 360. Good luck.